Okay, before we even start, I am not a doctor. I give no medical advice whatsoever, but I do research, and I think I do it pretty well. And I have been looking into autism and literally all diseases. And my theory, and what we can test quite easily, is bacteria creates the enzymes, and the only possible thing that can be done in your body requires an enzyme. If you don't have the enzymes, you will literally die almost instantly. And I say the enzymes in people's bodies are under assault, and that is why you get autism and so forth. And they just discovered the link between autism and this. All right, this glucuronidation. It's anytime you see an ACE on the end of something, it's an enzyme. Only place you get enzymes is from bacteria. I say this missing stuff, which is the cause of these issues, is an enzyme, and we need to find out what bacteria creates that. They just know if you're missing it, you're sick. Now let's go from here. I'm not telling you to take anything or don't take anything or how to treat any condition. I am not a doctor. I make no medical advice. This is supposed to be, I want doctors to see this so that they can make some medical advice that's based on sound understanding of these principles, the enzyme, the fluid-filled highway, the ribosomes, and how the transferase works and how enzymes work in general, and why we are assaulting our bacteria in our body, and then we lose our enzymes. We don't have the enzymes, you'll be sick. I'll show. I'm going to lay this out in such extreme detail, but again, I am not a doctor. Okay, my friends, this is extremely important. When our troops get radiation poisoning, and they will at some point in the future, there's going to be electromotive pulses, and they're going to get shocked in their system, and then they're going to get radiation sickness. And what is radiation sickness? It's when you throw up, you have diarrhea, vomiting, your skin gets rashes, and what happens is they say your cells are damaged. I say it's your bacteria is damaged. Your cells could get damaged, yes, but if your bacteria is damaged, then you really get sick, and it's exactly what happens, because it takes a few hours to a few days to get sick. You don't just get sick instantaneously, break all your cells. Your bacteria can't create, because your bacteria is dead now. It kills the bacteria. Bacteria, little one cell. Most of them die. You have to repopulate that. If you can repopulate it, fine. If you can't, you're sick for the rest of your life. Here's what happened. This is a summary of this radiation exposure. Extensive studies conducted on effects of radiation exposure on the gut microbiome in animal models, but not humans. More research is needed in humans. It's the same thing. Everything is done by enzymes created by bacteria. It says particularly in the context of acute radiation poisoning. It's known that radiation can disrupt the gut microbiome, potentially leading to both immediate, when they say immediate, they mean within a couple of hours, and long-term health consequences, including an increased risk of inflammation, infections, and inflammation. The study of this field remains important as we understand the broader effects of radiation on human health. And I'm going to tell you something. These guys, at some point in the future, they're going to get irradiated. It's just a matter of fact it's going to happen. Here it is. You get popped, intestinal damage, acute radiation exposure. That means just a pulse. You don't just fall over dead. You just have been irradiated, especially at high doses such as from nuclear accidents or radiation therapy. Can cause significant damage to the gastrointestinal tract. It kills the bacteria, leading to symptoms of nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, intestinal bleeding. All of those bacteria are supposed to be in there to maintain that system. You're going to have acids and salts and all kinds of things that are uncontrolled breaking through, and anything that comes into you after that, there's no bacteria to stop it. The impact on the microbiome disrupt the balance of gut microbiome, may reduce the diversity of gut bacteria, absolutely kills them. Harmful bacteria may proliferate because they love to be in an environment where there's nobody pushing back. And the damage to the gut cells typically help regulate the microbiome. They know all this stuff. They haven't done any research on this in over 50 years. You want to see what an atomic bomb was? It's unbelievable. Now look at this. This is what you need to regulate your digestion. All of these things, the pancreas, the liver, they have all kinds of enzymes and detoxifiers in there. But that's just a factory. This is just a factory. It's just nothing there that does anything without the bacteria. Nothing. Zero is done without the bacteria. Zero. And where do you need it? You need it primarily in your membranes to protect you from what's coming into you. And secondarily, in that membrane, there's a lot of bacteria floating in. All the enzymes and the bacterial juices inside there, gallstones, all of these things are a product of the bacteria. If it's not there, you're not going to have the chemistry. You don't have the chemistry, something's going to go wrong. I don't know what, but something's going to go wrong. And then you get a breakthrough, and you get cancer, you get autism, you get short out your nerves and all that stuff. Every single thing in your body has to be coated by a membrane. The membranes are where all these fluids exist. And this is what causes the problems. It kills the bacteria that are in those fluids, which are doing the chemistry to keep you alive. It is as simple as that. All they need to do is bacterial analysis before and after these kind of events, before and after you get antibiotics, before and after you get a vaccine, before and after the kids get their MMRs, before and after they are exposed to any kind of medical intervention. Because that's what they do. They kill things in you thinking that that's going to stop the spread of something. Well, they kill a broad spectrum of things, and then you're really in trouble. Then you got glyphosate, which they spray right, Roundup. They spray right on the crop before you eat it, and they say, "Oh, it won't hurt you because it just kills plants." That's the plants that are in us. It kills. Let's test that. Let's test if it kills the bacteria in us. If somebody, one guy, I was talking to my cousin who was a pharmacist. He says, "Yeah, I was watching the hearings on that, and some guy got up there and says, 'Oh, you literally can drink a cup of that stuff and it won't hurt you.'" And then he said to one of the senators, said, "Yeah, I'd like to see you do it." And of course they didn't do it. But I would like to see, even on animal models, I hate to do this with animals, but somehow you got to figure this out. And they won't, humans, they're just too arrogant to do it on themselves. Yeah, but actually, you know what? One doctor did. I think her name is Dr. Hazan. And I contacted her. We were supposed to hook up together, but it didn't fall, it all fell through. Now, she is a doctor, and she works in a big hospital, and she had all these doctors in this hospital that had gastrointestinal problems. And she found out that, and she did the analysis of all of the bacteria in their stomachs or their bodies in the fecal swabs. And she found out they were missing one of these bacteria was really, really important. So she actually destroyed that bacteria in her body, and yes, she got sick, and she had to replace it. She went out and bought 23 different types of probiotics because she knew the ones she needed, and all of them said they had it in it, and she found out that only 3 of them had it in there. Only 3 out of 23. And she did the test on it. She ran a bacterial analysis on this, and all these other doctors too. They realize now that these things, these bacteria, create the enzymes. The enzymes are in these membranes, and they surround organs to protect you. Now, my thinking though is there's like 100 cancers more. Every membrane, I believe, has its own bacterial makeup. But I'm not sure of that. It could float everywhere in the whole body and everybody has the same stuff, but maybe not, because your stomach has acids and your kidneys have salts and all kinds of different things. So is the membrane chemistry going to be exactly the same? I don't think so. I found a little organ that nobody knows about. I found interstitium too, which is where all these fluids go. And that is hooked together. Every organ is hooked together. So tiny, tiny little membrane. 2 little tubes that come out. And they flush it in. And one of them is different than the other side. So is that like a secretor? Does it secrete something or not secrete something? I don't know. When you look at this stuff here, you see this? These are all secretors. They secrete all kind of different little juices and things as you pass through your body. all the food and stuff. And those are the enzymes. When I say secretion, a secrete is an enzyme and has to have a bacteria to create the enzyme to secrete. They don't do this by themselves. These juices don't just flow because there's an organ there. The organ is a factory. The bacteria are the workers. Simple as that. Okay, my friends, this is way too important to miss out. It's going to get long. I'm going to give you the real quickie on it. It's all about autism, cancer, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. Every disease there is some kind of a breakdown of chemistry. And the chemistry is created by bacteria to create enzymes, which are the ribosomes. I'm going to get deep into this, but the most important thing you can possibly take away from this is that if you don't have the right bacteria in your gut, you're going to be sick. Case closed. Trump and Kennedy know this, and I want their help. The number of people being diagnosed with autism spectrum and attention deficit disorder has risen sharply. It's off the charts in Northern Ireland, which is the people we've been working with that are trying to introduce a protocol of, helping the gut microbiome of these autistic kids. I know how to do it just like that. You can do it with a fecal matter transplant within 15 minutes. And all that is poop that has the bacteria in it from somebody that's healthy. Done. They know this. And for every single disease that exists, this treatment should work. Now, why should it work for this particular case, autism? Well, what they found out was there's a product that they found out didn't work. It's called the glucuronidation. And it involves getting rid of all the bad stuff that's in your body. Drugs, pollutants, bile urine, androgens, estrogens, mineral, all these things, fatty acids, derivatives. These all involve to this glyceritic bond. Well, everything there is enzymes. This is my case. That's my theory. And it's this transferase. Right there it is. Here it is right here. UDP glucose transferase. It's an enzyme. Look at it. It's a catalyst enzyme. These things are sophisticated as hell. That came out of a bacteria. What bacteria creates this? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. They just know it's there, and if it's not there, you're sick. What's the bacteria? That's what I want to know. Okay, I'm sorry. I was a little bit passionate about this because I just showed you all the list of diseases: Crohn's, also colitis, everything, psoriasis, skin conditions. You know when they knew about this? Guess when? This is the National Institute of Health. 2012. We just need more money. Another 50, 60 years, we can figure this out. That's 13 years ago. I'm sorry. It's very, very upsetting. Okay, my friends, this is much too important to drag out. What we're going to be talking about is how chronic fatigue has just infected literally everywhere. People are tired. Why are they tired? They don't have energy. Why don't they have energy? Here's what happens. Mitochondrial DNA, mtDNA, mitochondrial DNA, is a small amount of DNA, tiny little chip found inside the mitochondria of a cell. And I'll show you what a cell is and what a mitochondria is. Now, what does that do? Energy. Mitochondrial DNA contains, now listen to this, here's the key. Mitochondrial DNA contains genes, which is a sequence, a little program, that instructs the mitochondria to make enzymes. So the mitochondrial DNA is a little program which is the instructions to make this little thing make enzymes. Well, that's good, that's fine. But you need bacteria to create the enzymes. All right, so this is fine if you have the gene and it's working great. If you don't have the enzymes, it doesn't matter. You're not going to get the end product, which is the adenosine tryptophan, ATP, which is the cell's energy source. You're going to be tired. Let's look at this and let's think about what I'm saying. The organ is a factory. That's just a factory. That's not what makes the end product, which is the enzyme. It is the factory to house the bacteria to create the ribosomes, which are the enzymes. Let me explain in extreme detail. All right, stay with me on this. You got that mitochondrial DNA. It's nothing more than a program. And let me just show you something. DNA can be just absolutely elegant. Now, what is this? Just a little chunk. It's like a little piece of the program. And it says we're going to make ATP, which is the cell's energy source. So this is inside that mitochondria. All right? It's the program. But that's all it is. It can't do anything. It's just a program. It's like if you run a program, but it never can get do the job, but just nothing happens. So this program says, go over and tell some bacteria to make an enzyme. It doesn't just make the enzyme all by itself. The bacteria has to create the enzyme. And you think I'm kidding? I will show you that is a fact. Okay, everybody trusts AI now. So yes, bacteria are required to produce the enzymes in humans. Specifically, bacteria present in the gut microbiome. But there's other layers of bacteria in your entire body that are in this interstitial layer they just never knew before. It's the fluid-filled highway. It's down inside your gut, yes, but that's what's also in this fluid-filled highway. It's just one gigantic system. I've been studying this for 10 years. I wrote a paper on it 10 years ago. All right, so now, where it helps digest the food by producing enzymes, the bacteria produce the enzymes everywhere in your body. Now, the enzymes are built into a ribosome. Let me show you about that. Okay, my friends, this is going to be a lot of fun. I've been studying this deeply for 10 years. Now, ribosomes are these little tiny balls, tiny little balls. 1 million of them could fit in one single human cell. 1 million of them. And plus all the other stuff that's in there, which I will be showing you all of that. So these ribosomes are organelles in the cells that synthesize proteins from amino acids. Well, actually, ribosomes are not organelles. They're actually little programs. I'll show you that in a second. They're made up of 2 subunits, a small one and a large one. They're translators. I'll show you that. What do? Ribosomes link amino acids together. No, they are the amino acids all linked together creates a ribosome. It can be a tiny little one, it can be a big one. All right, and it's a messenger. It carries the program. It's a translation. Ribosomes receive information from the cell nucleus, which is the DNA. They say, here's what I want you to make, and here's your program. Go out into the world and just carry it around with you. Don't eat anything, don't poop. You're a program. That's all you are, is a program. You're a ribosome. And if something comes to you and tickles this little pink guy, pop open like this and kill everything that is in your path. And it's called click chemistry. It pops out and it goes click, 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 and it kills them all. And it doesn't get used up itself, but it has to have that exact pattern. I'm going to show you all this in extreme detail. So then they say the process and the binding of this and that and the location and the cellular machine are responsible for making proteins. Ribosomes is the cellular machinery. That's not right. That's not right. Ribosomes are the balls. This is not right. Well, let's take a look at what ribosomes are. They're showing ribosomes. They're attached. They're not part of this. This is unbelievable. What you saw is just completely wrong. The ribosomes, you see this ribosomes? They're just little balls floating freely around here. The rough endoplasmic reticulum does hold a whole batch of them. This is where they are. This is rough. They call it rough because there's all these balls stuck everywhere. They are on there, but that's not what ribosomes are. Not that. They're not a factory. They are the product of a factory. Now, normally it's the product of bacteria. So are the bacteria living in there squirting them out? I don't know. But the bacteria are somewhere in your body. They're only single cell, little tiny things, and they squirt out the ribosomes, which are even more tiny. Let me show you the process. You see this? This is what a ribosome is. Now, you got the plasma membrane, which everything has, and it's only a single cell. It's a single cell creature, one cell, and it has nuclear DNA, and it it has a little chunk of this DNA that says, do all of the bacteria things, but in addition to that, make these ribosomes, which there's a program in there. That's all, it's just a little program. So it says, okay, make the ribosome. So the ribosome now is an enzyme. But you can't get that ribosome unless you have the bacteria. The bacteria has the program. You can't just come over and type anything in there. It's got to be built into the DNA of the bacteria. That's its job in life. It's a lactobacillus, whatever. And the one, well, anyway, lactobacillus is a big section of these little buggers. Now, one single cell flagella all through the body, flagellum, squirting out ribosomes. And they're free floaters. They just go anywhere in your body. They're like a little ball like this. Say it was that size. Here's what's going to happen to it as it goes through your body. All right, here it comes. Just living a life, having a good time, and all of a sudden you get a trigger. It pops the sheath off, which is like a plastic bag holding it together. And it goes into like this. Now, it can do one of two things depending upon what kind of a bacteria it came from. Some bacteria create things that break things, which are enzymes. They normally just destroy things, break things up into little bits. And then you have builders, which are the proteins. So out of the sheath comes either one or the other. Are enzymes proteins? Well, yes. Only these break and these build. This goes like this and makes a piece of muscle. This goes like this and goes and breaks all the bits and pieces that can come over there and make the muscle. You can't make the muscle out of a carrot. It's just not going to turn into a muscle. You have to break all the little bits and pieces out of all kinds of stuff, and then this builds it back together again. That's a program. You want to see how elegant that is? Watch this. This is literally how sophisticated these enzymes are. All of these little tips here, the blue and the red little spots on the end, I don't know what they're intimating by that, but there's thousands of dipole moments in there, which is polar regions. The regions of magnetism around here. Everything's magnetic, everything there is. And there's a black and a white. And it's a dipole electrons. And this makes an exact configuration, just like this. And if it comes around and sees there's something that it knows what to do with it because of the molecular signature, it just goes pep, 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 and kills them. So this would come up and go, and every single one of those would blow something off and kill it. But if you don't have the bacteria to make this enzyme, which comes from the ribosome, you don't get the product at the end. You don't get the chemistry. So what happens? Your ATP doesn't have the energy it needs. You probably have some of it, but it's just not enough. You got to boost that. How do you boost it? You need more bacteria. What bacteria? I don't know. Nobody knows. They don't look at that. They don't look at bacteria. The first thing you should do is when you go to your doctor, just poop. Let's see what you got in your bacteria. That's the first thing. And if you've got a good, healthy immune system, a good, healthy intestinal digestive system, normally you're going to be pretty healthy, I would say, because then you got all the stuff you need in your body. Your body's supposed to make that stuff, but as your bacteria ages and you age, well, it doesn't do it so good. And now everybody's, after this COVID and everything else, they've been taking antibiotics and killing other things in their body, or the COVID kills other things in their body, or the glyphosate that's in the food chain, or something, because there's water. Everything is attacking our biology that is the bacteria. It's not necessarily killing ourselves. If it kills the bacteria, then you don't have the product. You no longer have the product. You no longer have the energy because you can't produce the ATP, you don't have the enzymes. I hope this makes sense, because it hasn't been allowed. I've been shut down and told never to speak about this. Now, hoping Trump is true to his word, that I'm allowed to speak of it. I don't see why I can't. This is research. I do research. I discovered this highway of fluids, and that's where these things flow through. And if you get caught over here, it sends a whole bunch of guys to fix it. But if you don't have the guys, you get infected. And then you start getting all nasty and pussy and everything else. Otherwise, you should almost immediately, like even this, I smashed my fingernail. That would normally pop off. Now, I don't know if it will or not. I don't think so. You know, I take probiotics and everything else. I'm in pretty good shape as far as, you know, healing up. I'm getting older, but that's, you know, there's two options there. You know, you either keep continuing to consume oxygen, or, well, you know, option number 2. Now, this, it's so elegant, the human body, it's just unbelievable. Because like I said, this enzyme comes from one ribosome. And how many ribosomes did I say can be in a cell? 1 million or more. Now, this is my new research, is that I say every single membrane has a different chemistry, and I think it may have. It needs to be tested, and it's very, very simple to do the tests I'm talking about. And I always have something to test. I don't say you did it and hope for the best. Here's what we could do: is find out what fluids are in this interstitial layer. This is the fluid-filled highway right here. In there is where all these little ribosomes, floating around, having a nice day, and all of a sudden this guy cuts through, and you get nasty stuff, or well, this is cancer, but let's just say you could just one day something cut right through your skin. This is where it attacks that stuff, but it has to have the right guys to attack it, or it gets all festered and inflamed and everything else. Normally, if you got the right guys, you can attack pretty quick and kill these invaders. Now, that's a wound. This is a growing cancer. So what does that mean? All right, originally, your skin is out to here, or organ or whatever is used. Let's go to organs. And this is what they call the fascia. And underneath the fascia, just over the top of the tissue that is the vital tissue here, is this membrane. All right, this is the fluid-filled highway. Now, you got an invader coming down here and it says, I can live down here, nobody's bothering me. There's nobody coming to attack me. I'm okay. You say, where's the enzymes? Well, I don't know. The guy took some antibiotics. He killed all his bacteria, so he can't do a thing about it. Come on, let's go. So they break down level 1, level 2, level 3, and they get down to here where these guys are supposed to be. They should have already squirted up here and killed them. But they're not there. There's nobody there to fight back. And they come down right into your vital, this would be your organ, this would be your lungs or your heart or your liver or your kidneys. And that's why I say there's got to be some kind of different chemistry in every one of these organs, because you get a specific type of cancer. Well, why wouldn't you get cancer of your whole body, every organ that gets it at once? And some people do. They get like galloping cancer because they've been invaded with antibiotics to kill all the bacteria in their body, so none of their body works. And an electromagnetic pulse will destroy the bacteria in your body. What's an electromagnetic pulse? Well, it's a shock of extremely high energy particles. All right, it's like from an atomic bomb type of thing. Stand is so far off you don't get whacked really hard by the impact, but you catch the energy, and it burns you up and kills your bacteria. So how can I say that? How would I know that? How would I even possibly make that claim that it kills the bacteria in your body? Well, because within a few hours to a day or two, you start throwing up, have diarrhea, you're vomiting, you're all kinds of indigestion problems, and it kills your skin. Of course, it kills the bacteria that's in your skin, and you get skin rashes and all inflammation there because there's no bacteria to fight back. And all kinds of stuff happen to you topically, but not only topically. Inside, it also gets you because it must do something to your digestive system too. Because everything goes bad. You start getting the diarrhea, the vomiting, nausea, all kinds of gas and fatigue, and it just killed all the bacteria that was keeping you alive. And it only takes a day or two. Well, actually, they say within a couple of hours. Hold on one second. You see this? They're talking about drug-induced. Where'd it go? Here, hold on. They're talking about here it is right here. All right, they're talking about causing damage possibly to primary T cells, and I think they meant in mouse embryos. Furthermore, drug-induced mitochondrial stress. This is what we're talking about. Drug-induced. Well, what drugs? What drugs are they giving them? Drug-induced mitochondrial stress and mitochondrial DNA breaks exacerbate this transfer of mitochondrial DNA into the nuclear genome. All right, so they're looking at mitochondrial editors. They're breaking up if you don't have the right enzymes, you're done. And I believe this is all related to the bacteria. All you have to do is find out what bacteria the guy's got in his body, in his guts, and maybe you could even take it right out of the interstitial layer. It's almost just like doing a tattoo. They have to be exactly at a certain spot to put that tattoo stuff in. You have to be exactly at the spot I showed you, which is the interstitial layer, and to extract that fluid. And you could extract it at each organ and say, is it the same in this organ as that organ? Do we have different bacterias? And I think it must be. And I've been looking at the tips of where the fascia invests into other areas, and there's two little tubes coming out. I know I'm 100% certain of this, and I've got all the microscopic shots of it, and I have all specimens. You can even do it with just taking a chicken tissue, which I did, and I'll show it to you again, and again. Now, so this is the problem with the mitochondrial DNA. You don't have the workers inside the factory. You got the factory, that's fine. You got the program, that's fine. You don't have any workers. Who's the workers? The bacteria. Okay, once again, we return to the interstitium. And now we return to the days of yesterday here. Okay, now this was just discovered as a body part. Doctors primarily don't even know about this. This layer right here it's a newfound organ. Well, not only is it an organ, it's your immune system. Basically, that's the layer I just showed you. You break through that layer, and you have a source of energy here for the tumors to feed off of. If you can't attack them, you're in trouble. The only way you can attack them is with enzymes. So you need this little layer right underneath here. See that little dark layer? That's right there where you have all your killer stuff is waiting. And if something goes wrong, they go out here and they take off and they go and they attack. And I mean, they know what to do. Something tips them off and says, hey, run over there and attack something. And I can show that too. I have shown it in great detail. I can show an enormous amount of lymph fluids attacking an invading toxin. All right, you're going to literally be as good as a doctor at understanding this by the time we're done. It won't take long at all. This is what an animal cell is here. You see this? There's a lot of different types of animal cells in your body, but they primarily do the same sort of stuff. We talked about the ribosomes. They're just floating around in there. See, ribosomes, they're just everywhere. And we're going to talk to chat and ask some questions. How many ribosomes are there? Or are they free floaters? Are they alive? They're programs, really. I don't know what chat will say about that. Here's the nucleolus. This is where they're talking about the rough endoplasmic reticulum right here. That has a bunch of ribosomes stuck to it, yes. But it must do something here, allowing some chemistry into the center. You see it here? this rough endoplasmic reticulum, this won't allow anything in if the enzyme says no. That's what I'm taking from this, because this whole layer here is coated with enzymes, which are the ribosomes. And the ribosomes, they're just showing it, they're just pointing into the middle because it's just loaded with them. And then it's got all these, this is your mitochondria here. Whoops. Mitochondria, right there. There. These are the things that have to have bacteria in there. They have to have it. They say they produce enzymes. No, they don't. That's where the bacteria lives that produces the enzymes. If you don't have the bacteria there, you're done. And here's all these little holes. This is what membranes do. They let things in and they let things out. You have to take out the trash and bring in the good stuff. It's just like where you live. You got to bring something in to eat and you got to throw out the garbage. And this is what they do. You got the Golgi apparatus, cytoplasm, and they have secretory vesicles, which means these are also enzyme producers, secretions. And when you see things in the earth where they have all these different colors, that's because of different secretions of different enzymes that break down chemistry, and then it reconstitutes itself in these like little fountain-looking things, you know, stalactites and stalagmites. That's a breakdown somewhere up in the top here of chemistry that break down mineral, and then it drips down along with the water, and it just reconstitutes itself, and it creates stalagmites and tights. It's you know, I'm sorry to, you know, show you all the reality. It kind of takes the mystery out of things, but I like to know what I'm dealing with. And now, when you see this kind of complexity, it's just overwhelming once you let your mind think, how the hell did that happen? How did that happen? How did that happen? Anyway, let's talk to chat. It's beyond belief, but it appears to be true. A typical eukaryotic cell, like a mammalian cell like us, a mammal, can contain millions of ribosomes, with estimates ranging from around 1 million to 10 million ribosomes per cell. 1 million to 10 million of these little balls that pop up to be huge enzymes per cell. Every one of these little ribosomes is an enzyme, and it's designed to attack some of these bacteria, different types of bacteria. And it's designed by our body. I'll show you exactly how your immune system works, from the bacteria all the way up to transferring it into the DNA. All right, we know we need to squirt out these ribosomes, and they're so small, millions of them can fit in a cell. So what are these ribosomes made out of? What is it made out of? It's made out of these amino acids, and you can have a program that there's 20 of them or so, and they're all different magnetic signatures, and they come in these big long polypeptide chains, which are exactly sequenced like a program, and then they all ball up into this ball, and then it floats around through your system. So don't forget now, that's the bacteria, and it has a DNA in there that says, I'm going to squirt out this exact same chain every time, blue, pink, green, blue, pink, every single time. And they're going to turn into a ball like this, which is called a ribosome. See, ribosome. That floats around in your body until, well, it becomes transfer RNA, and then it goes into messenger RNA, and then it splices right into our genes, right into the DNA, and says, okay, I recognize something. I was programmed from a bacteria, and that's what happens. I was programmed from a bacteria, and I now will recognize COVID-19. And when I do, and I see that molecular signature, I'm going to alert the ribosomes that are floating all over. They're just laying around waiting to be used because they have already been programmed. They don't eat, they don't poop, and you can have millions in every single cell. You should be able to wipe anything out that comes against you if you have the right bacteria. Because the right bacteria makes the right enzymes make the right chemistry. The right chemistry kills the invaders. And it keeps your tissues tight, your cellular junctions. That's how you get invaded. Every membrane has what they call tight junctions. So they have to be able to glue all around, but they can't open up like this. And a lot of people have loose junctions because they have bad chemistry in the membranes. And we need to just have a database of what bacteria is in your body. It's basically as simple as that. Now, then I would like to see every membrane looked into as what exact bacteria is in exact membranes. And you can do it with an animal, some dead animal, and well, what can I say? You just go into that membrane that's around the lungs and you pull that fluid out. You go to the membranes around the heart, you pull that fluid out. Is it the same fluid? Same in the kidneys? Same in the prostate? Same in your eyeballs? I think it's going to be different because all of those things that it's surrounding have different chemistry. Some of them have very caustic, some of them have salty, some of them have a lot of metals, some of them have urine and acids and salts and stomach acids and all that stuff. And it has to be coated. You have to have a membrane around it. So I don't care what chemistry is inside. You have to have a plastic bag around it. And that's your membrane. I don't think they can be the same chemistry in everything. And I think the thing that I have discovered at the very tip of every enclosure, every bag that surrounds something, there's a tip, and it locks it in. I call it now the spur lock. And it has the two little tiny fluid tubes that come out of it. And I've seen this 100 times. I know absolutely for certain. And I have a chicken tissue over there I have in a microscope. You can see it. There's no question it's there. The two tubes come down, and one of them has a different color than the other one. And it almost looks like it has like a bulb around it. Like, could it be injecting some kind of secretion that says, hey, I'm a chicken breast, give me something that keeps out or protects a chicken breast. I don't know. But they do have those two little tabs coming, and the fluids have to go from one separation to the next where it tags in. It's very, very clear, absolutely clear what I'm going to be showing you. But this is how you become immune. Now the DNA says, if I ever see that again, it's not going to be a problem. But get to me quick and make sure you got enough enzymes. That's all. All right, here it is right here. The key is, without understanding dipole electron flood theory, you don't realize how many particles are in each one of these and how they can be broken down on a bazillion. Between every single one of these, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of extra particles they never even take into consideration. They're isotopes, but they only say they can see 20 or 30 different isotopes for each element, because like carbon's not just carbon. There are all kinds of carbons, all kinds of every one of these, and that's because there's so many particles in between. They think you got protons and neutrons, and you got 10 of these and 20 of these, whatever. No, every one of these is 1,839 or 1,840 particles. So when you take hydrogen, which they say is 1. No, it's not. It's 1,840. When they take helium and they say it's 4, no, it's 7,350, something like that. When you get up in here, you got hundreds of thousands of particles. And when an enzyme attacks, it just tears them to shreds and then rebuilds them. I showed you there's an enzyme and a protein. The enzyme breaks, the protein builds it back together. And here's how it happens. Enzymes can speed up chemical reactions by millions or even billions of times. The chemical reaction is going to happen, but it could take a year. This does it in less than a quarter of a second. It says, meaning a reaction that might take years without an enzyme can occur in fractions of a second when it's catalyzed. Enzymes are catalysts. So it's catalyzed by the right enzyme. You need the right enzyme. What does that mean? You need the right bacteria. I just showed you. It's so simple, it can't be missed. And they don't test for bacteria. Insanity. Essentially, they can increase reaction rates by many orders of magnitude, just done. And what do? They run with these half-lives. They say, I'll take 26 of these and 17 of those and 18 of these and 15 of those, and it breaks it all down, and then they build it right back up again to make whatever they need. That's what an enzyme does. Enzymes don't just do nothing. They're there when they're needed to be there, when you consume food or when you are invaded. I guess there's probably enough running off at the mouth, but enzymes moving at the speed of life. All living things depend on millions of chemical reactions happening constantly. There is literally billions of going on in your body right now. There are trillions. And if they don't do it continuously 24 hours a day, you're going to be sick. You're going to be chronically ill. You're going to be tired. You're going to be easily invaded. All right, chemical reactions keep you alive, happen fast. They have to happen like boom. When you eat food, breathe, play, and grow, all of these are chemical reactions, and they must take place quickly. And when they say quickly, they ain't lying. Because within a couple of hours, without the right enzymes in your body, you're already sick. People that get invaded by different bugs and so forth like that, they get sick just like that. Why? The bug is taking over the other bug, and there's no way to fight back at it because we don't have a enzyme in us to attack that guy. But we can figure it out pretty quick. Our bacteria are like little programmers. They say, "Whoa, did you see that? Oh, there's on the telomere. Did you see that? Oh, there's a weak spot there." They program. Boom. They write a code. A bacteria picks it up. Ribosomes go out and whack. And they do it almost instantly in our body. These vaccine things, there's nothing wrong with them. As long as it doesn't kill the good stuff in you, which is the problem that's been right along. A vaccine has not been targeted. Now they're talking about AI to actually design the bacteria, and they call it, I forget, I just got something on it today. Hold on. Here it is right here. I just got this in today from Columbia University. Hacking bacteria to attack cancer. Columbia researchers engineered probiotic bacteria educate the immune system to destroy cancer cells. Yes, there's a bunch of new bacteria that they realize you don't have this, you're going to get cancer because you can't fight off the invasion of your lymph nodes or whatever it is. And I believe the real solution is fecal matter transplant, which means you flush all new bacteria into your body from somebody else that has these bacteria alive and working. And you put them in your body, and then you're back to good. Now, I know there's some people in Russia that I'm not talking to them, I just know who they are. And they're taking actually the interstitial fluids, actual fluids from that membrane, and transferring it into somebody else. So it's already the exact fluids, which is lymph fluids. Where did it go? So they're going down into a membrane, apparently, or they're using cadavers. But I don't know whether you could go to a person's membrane and suck out a little of that and squirt it into somebody else's. Would it help? I don't know. All right, we're going to finish up right where we started. It's all about enzymes. It's all about bacteria. And we need to get somebody like Kennedy, Trump, and that crew to say, let's take a look at it. All you need is a couple of weeks to figure this out. You see, if somebody gets a vaccine or whatever they're going to get, or antibiotics, you take their bacterial analysis before and after. What did it affect? What is it going to cause problems? And the problem is that a lot of these very early childhood vaccinations are live viruses, and the kids have no defense to them whatsoever, some of them, none, zero. And then they proliferate, and the next thing you know, the kids are doing this, and that happens within 48 hours, just the same as you got hit by an electromagnetic pulse and destroyed your bacteria. That's my theory. Again, not a doctor. I love you all.